Hi there, my fellow notebook aficionados. I almost feel like sounding like a broken record, since for the third time in about as many months, I can tell you that the time of previews is finally over and we have been able to properly test a laptop with a completely new CPU architecture. And following Qualcomm's Snapdragon X Elite Silicon and AMD's Strix Point, it is now Intel's turn with Lunar Lake. After IFA just a few weeks ago, we have all been pretty optimistic with what the new architecture brings to the table for thin and light notebooks, with Intel finally saying goodbye to brute forcing performance with more power and instead focusing on efficiency and GPU performance. And without wanting to spoil our review too much, we are in fact dealing with the fastest iGPU, but there was a reason Intel did not speak that much about pure CPU performance gains during the preview events. Like with the new Qualcomm and AMD CPUs, the first notebook you will see all over your YouTube start page today is again from Asus. The Zenbook S14 is pretty much a scaled down version of the S16, which was our first Strix Point laptop, and it's a great fit for the new silicon, not only for everyday computing, but thanks to the boosted integrated GPU, it turns the slim 14-incher into a capable creator and productivity machine. But as always, let's start at the beginning. Our sample of the Zenbook S14 comes with the new mainstream option in Intel's Lunar Lake lineup, the Core Ultra 7 258V, with its integrated Arc Graphics 140V. The new CPU family's naming will definitely be something to get used to, but unfortunately this holds true for Qualcomm and AMD as well, since it seems like all chip manufacturers are trying to win the prize for the most cryptic naming schemes. In addition to the new SoC, we get 32 gigs of soldered and blazingly fast RAM and 1TB of storage, in addition to a 2.8K OLED running at up to 120Hz. I know you're all here for the juicy CPU details, so I will only give you a brief overview of the Zenbook itself. Again, like its bigger brother, the 14-incher presents itself in a very high-quality all-metal chassis, with Asus's signature Cerulonium display lid, which I personally like a lot, both in terms of looks and feel. Overall stability for the sleek laptop is excellent, with only minimal flex around the keyboard, stiff enough hinges and no creaking, bending or anything else that would take away from the overall high-quality impression. The port situation is great for a notebook of this class, with a pair of USB-C Thunderbolt 4s, HDMI 2.1 and thankfully a USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 on the opposite side. You get what you would expect from a premium notebook regarding wireless transfers, both for older standards and for the latest Wi-Fi 7 connections. The webcam won't blow your socks off, but it delivers a usable and natural looking image for all of your Zoom call needs. As I mentioned before, the memory is soldered and the config is also tied to specific CPU models, which you should look out for when shopping for a new Lunar Lake laptop. This also means that your maintenance options inside the Zenbook are limited to the NVMe drive and maybe some occasional cleaning duties. When it comes to inputs, we have nothing to complain about, and the keyboard offers a sufficient amount of travel, a tactile feel and satisfying feedback, and it is a great fit even for longer texts and emails. The touchpad comes with additional controls for volume and display brightness and worked well without any hiccups during our testing. On the display side, we get a typical Asus OLED experience with okayish brightness, great contrast and color gamut coverage, and excellent factory calibration. As is typical for the display tech, you can also enjoy snappy response times, and as usual for Asus, you get a relatively high PWM frequency of 480Hz and their custom software brightness control to rely on the potentially less problematic DC dimming. But let's finally talk about the new heart of the Zenbook, the 258V. As always, we did some initial testing in all of the 14-inches 4-power profiles and decided to do most of our testing in standard mode, since it gave us the best compromise between performance and very quiet operation. Kicking things off in Cinebench 24, and well, there's only so much 4 performance and 4 efficiency cores can do. And given that the majority of the competition is betting on more cores, which are sometimes even hyper-threading capable, these numbers should not really be a big surprise in multi-core scenarios. Single core is looking a lot better right off the bat, with only Apple's M3 and Qualcomm's fastest X Elite being able to beat Team Blue's new silicon. Geekbench paints a similar picture when it comes to raw multi-core performance. Basically, everything else out there is quite a bit faster, while the new SoC is very middle of the road in single core. In our CPU performance rating, which basically sums up a lot of different tests, both in single and multi-core, and across a wide range of different benchmarks, you can easily get the impression that Intel kind of screwed up here, releasing a CPU that can barely hold a candle against even the in-house competition. But performance is only one piece of the puzzle and efficiency is another. I said it already in the past, but CPU performance is already quite high with all modern CPUs. And especially in thinner and lighter devices, I would argue that you absolutely do not need the fastest mobile CPU possible, but rather a solid mix between performance and a better overall user experience with lower temps, quieter fans and longer runtimes. But looking at our numbers, it does not look too good for Lunar Lake once again, at least on paper. Both Apple and Qualcomm are more efficient in single-core scenarios, while multi-core results will be very dependent on the chosen performance mode. If you want to learn more about our efficiency testing, we have a separate article on our website with quite a bit of additional data, so please feel free to check it out after the video. So how about the GPU side of things? In the end, it seems like this was Intel's main focus for any additional performance gains with the new mobile CPU generation. And while in our synthetic tests, the 140V is indeed the fastest integrated GPU you can get right now, given it gets enough power. But even in the Zenbook standard mode, which is exceptionally quiet, but more on that later, Lunar Lake is about on par with Strix Point and easily beats Qualcomm. But we have seen this before, and the question is how well our synthetic results translate to the real world with games and applications. And we got good news here. Even in standard mode, the Zenbook is just slightly behind its slower and Strix Point equipped VivoBook sibling, even though that one runs on a lot more juice, while it can secure the top spot in the sleek notebook's performance mode. As always, this will depend greatly on the games you are playing, but overall, we did get a solid boost in GPU performance almost across the board. And this is especially impressive when looking once again at our efficiency measurements, which paint a very favorable picture for Team Blue. And it's been quite a while since we have been able to say that. But numbers and measurements are great and all, but how does all of this translate to the real world when it comes to fan noise and battery life? I mean, in the end, this will be what affects your individual user experience the most. And the Zenbook is doing really well here with very subtle fan noise, especially in its standard mode. If you do not need the full capabilities of the built-in GPU, you do not really need to use the higher performance modes at all and can enjoy a pretty quiet notebook during most daily tasks. As always, we prepared some more subjective noise samples for you, and for all of our juicy measured results, please once again head on over to our written reviews. Away from the wall we get very good, but not class-leading results, which is, well, okay I guess. Meteor Lake laptops in a similar form factor get left behind quite significantly, while Qualcomm and Strix Point notebooks perform similarly to the Zenbook. But with more than 14 hours in our simulated Wi-Fi tests, with the display at 150 nits, a respectable 10 hours at full brightness and 20 hours of video playback, the Zenbook is a great companion for a full workday at the office and the Netflix marathon alike. And it's going to be very interesting how Lunar Lake performs in general, which we will only be able to judge once we get more devices in. Alright folks, so should you care about Lunar Lake? Well, given that Snapdragon laptops have been a bit of a letdown, or well, at least they have not been able to revolutionize the notebook market as much as we all thought they would, and AMD with their Strix Point CPUs once again delivers a great chip you can only get in very few devices, Intel was actually in a very good spot with their new mobile architecture as long as they don't screw it up big time. Once again, an Intel Lunar Lake equipped laptop like the Zenbook will not transform the way you work with your notebook or give you a tremendously different experience. But Intel basically delivered exactly what they promised, a solidly performing SoC with a boosted GPU, better efficiency that allows for lower temps and fan noise and longer battery life. Yes, they had to sacrifice pure CPU grunt to get there, but I am totally fine with it, since the question really is, how much faster you want this class of devices to be? I mean, not all of us run complex simulations on small notebooks all day, and given that a lot of applications offload the big chunks of their computing to the GPU anyway, Lunar Lake is moving in exactly the right direction, if you ask me. But of course, I would love to hear what you have to say. Are you happy with those results? Did you expect more? And now that everything is out of the bag, which mobile SoC will drive your next thin and light notebook? Sound off in the comments below. Again, if you want to dive deeper into all of our data, check out our corresponding articles on our website. I will link them all in the description. That should be it from my end today. Please leave your like and sub if you liked our content, and maybe check out some of our recent videos if you simply cannot get enough of tech and laptops. Thanks a ton for watching. My name is Alex, you have been fantastic, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.